Hey everyone, welcome to Opal Oracle. This is going to be for Leo for mid-October. Now, excuse me if my voice is a little low. It's actually like 3 in the morning, but I kept having these dreams uh, about pentacles and about tarot. There was a reading, and it was strong, and obviously it was my own psyche working something out, but I couldn't sleep, and so I was inspired to do this. So Leo, here we go. A few things. One, for those new to Opal Oracle, my name's Raaji. Nice to meet you. Good morning. And number two, this is going to span, which obviously will permeate before and after. That's how energy works. But from the 5th of October, which is actually today, is a full moon in Aries. Okay, Venus and Mars are also coming together today. It's a big deal. Then it goes from then until the new moon on the 19th of October in Libra. Now these are the opposing signs, so there's something really beautiful about like the yin and the yang of this situation. Okay. Now, I also broke this down into 4 sections. There's a section for your work, which you're going to actually flip over your cards and look right now. There's a section for your work. Interesting. This can also be work on self. We have a section for love, which can also, romance or, of course, self-love. A section for creativity, and then for your spirituality. Wow. I always find it fascinating when the 2 court cards are like having a conversation. It's really interesting. I also chose 1 card from the Marielle, and I always want to say tarot with her. I don't know why. I guess maybe it's more French, tarot. But you received the sun, Leo. Look how I can see the reflection of the yellow on the camera. It's like bing, 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 bing. So bright. So bright. Here's your element. Here's all your power. And when I just said power, although the sun is like a very likely, highly possible, like infinite illuminating disk in the sky, it's important to rest. Okay, this is a lot of energy. Okay, it makes a lot of things grow, makes a lot of things expand. So pay attention to your health is what I hear. Okay. Take that nap, whatever it is you need to do. You don't have to do everything all at once. Now, this is interesting. So specifically speaking, you have some strong energy in your work section, Leo. You have the Hermit and the High Priestess, which for me, specifically, there's something about September. Maybe you had more time to yourself in September, and now that it's October, I actually don't see you necessarily. There's not one technical challenge card here, except for the bottom of the deck. We'll find out a little bit more about that, even though it's just like the undercurrent, and I kind of get what it's saying, but it's interesting because this is so positive on the outside, what I can see right now. So I guess if it's interesting to have the Hermit and the High Priestess in your work. They're 2 very internal beings. Okay. They have the vision of clarity by going within. But with the High Priestess being like the hermit is the seeker, right? They want to find something. That's why they have the lantern. They have the star in the lantern. It's about further knowledge, deeper knowledge. But it's about seeking it out, trying to find it, trying to introspect, trying to analyze. You know, it's the Virgo card. It's the hermit. But the high priestess is more about, she doesn't represent any sign specifically because anybody can be the high priestess. But she's more of a conduit, you know, like she lets because the information is everywhere, right? Like with the hanged man. Like, yes, he did hang himself up. Odin hung himself to see the runes for a really long time, too. Maybe like 100 years, I don't know. But what he saw after being there for so long, after doing like the hermit sort of situation, he actually saw what the high priestess could see all along. Because the runes were always there. It's not like they appeared out of nowhere. He just was finally able to see them. So there's something about you seeking something within your job, but you already realizing what the situation is. I also want to say that you're probably dreaming about your job. And even though that's kind of like, oh my god, I just dreamt about work and now I have to go to work, there's something about it actually inspiring you. Strangely. I mean, that's very Leonian of you to take anything out of life and make it grow. Right? Make it beautiful. Make it expand. And now, because I mentioned that growing, because in your creativity, you have Judgment and Ace of Wands, which is beautiful, really. Any of you who are an artist out there, I see a very, very strong message of sorry, I was just connecting it to like your love spirit. I was pulling it in. There's a strong message of Judgment is like, I mean, this in your creative section is basically like, here's an idea, here's so many ideas, do you want to do it? Yeah, let's do it. It's like so much inspiration. It's like being alive, being reborn again, and being like, wow, I can do anything with this magic wand. It's like maybe someone gives you some supplies for you, those of you who are actually, I mean, everyone's artistic, but that could be anything, like gardening supplies, or maybe it's like a cupcake pan, or, you know, I don't know, paint, canvas, new tools, wrench to fix your lawnmower, I don't know, whatever. But I see that it's a really big deal. And whatever this creation is too, I see again the high priestess being an influence to it. You probably won't find out whatever this Judgment situation is. There's something about October. Maybe it is the first week of October, something like that. I mean, these are general. It's hard to relate to everybody, but it's just like super inspiration there. It's powerful, really powerful. Now, your love section. Well, I see you at work a lot. Like, it's connected, right? Love and work is like in the same line. So perhaps for some of you, you'll find somebody at work that seems like somebody that you'd want to work with. Okay? Maybe that's where the work comes in. It's not necessarily at work, but like you find somebody. Because I see here you have you have 2 threes. You have the 3 of Wands and then the 3 of Pentacles. So actually, for some of you, what I see, because the Two of Wands, right, is about making a choice. You're like at a crossroads. You sort of figure it out. You're at the one. You know, you pick up the wand. Then you go to the two, which a lot of times represent two people, but just the number two in general. And 2 plus 1 is 3. And so I see that there's been a path that's chosen. I hear something about August too. I see that you've been wishing for someone that you can work with, that appreciates all that you do, okay? All that you're able to achieve in this life, physically, particularly, like what you can manifest in this physical world. You know, what you were able to grow. Especially with like all this. I mean, goodness gracious, look at this. Leo, really? This is pretty awesome. You know? If you take it for what it is, this is fantastic. You know, because of all these energies intertwined, you know, that's why, I mean, we call it the swastika, but it's called all different things in different languages. You know, historically, it's way older than that. Armenia has it, the Hopis used it as their peace symbol. You still find it on their yearbooks if you go to New Mexico. But it's about the intertwining, you know, it's about the rotation of life, it's about the wheel in the sky that keeps on turning. I don't know what I'll be tomorrow. I love Journey. Sorry, I've just had that song in my head all morning. But particularly with 2 3s here, I don't know. I see 2 3s and then I see just 2 people below them. And now this is in your spirituality, but as I just mentioned, of course, everything is intertwined. But I see this in relation to your love section a little bit. Obviously, there could be an air sign and a fire sign. The Queen of Swords is technically Aquarius. But there's a conversation here. It definitely is a conversation. And you actually go from the Ace to the King in the future. Okay, they're in the same line. They're separated by the Sun and this Queen of Swords. It's quite an expansion, actually. 1 to the 3 to the King. My only concern about that is I'm sensing that there is a slight conflict with this fire sign. For some reason, I don't necessarily see it as you. It could be you. It could be just within your home. For some of you. You know, because this is in your spirituality also, I guess maybe you'll be having a conversation with someone about how you really feel about that sort of stuff. You know? Because technically spirituality is sort of the opposite to religion to a lot of people. Spirituality is definitely the opposite of science, which is fine and good. Not that I don't love the scientific method, I do experiments all the time, but there's something really beautiful about spirituality because it cannot be scientifically technical. And actually, Aquarius represents science, and generally, you know, it can kind of also, in a sense, represent like non-spirituality, you know, really questioning it and being like, well, that doesn't make any sense because there's no proof. And this person's like, but the proof is, and this is different than when I was talking about earlier with the conflict, but like, the proof is this. You know what I mean? This person's like, This person's like, I don't know, like, well, are you sure about that? Are you sure about spirituality? And this person's like, is it real? And this person's like, yes. Yes, it is real. Is God real? Well, I don't know, maybe. Maybe to me. Because let us not forget, just as a side note, the whole reason we even have, like, say, of course, in India we have Hinduism, then then we have Buddhism, and we have Christianity, and we have the Orthodox, sectors, whatever, all these different other sects, and we call our gods different things, and we veer off from particular gods to make ourselves feel more definitive in like who we are, okay? But the only reason why that happened is because we messed up as humans, Well, we weren't made perfect. We were sort of made like we fucked up, in short, I guess. But the point is that we only speak all these other languages now and have to define God or whatever we want to define that spirituality as differently is because we messed up by not understanding each other in the first place. So in truth, when someone's like, you don't believe in my God, like your God's the devil or whatever, like, that kind of attitude, so definitive about this one is right and this one is wrong, is actually the opposite of God. The idea of God. Because all faith is what's in your love section, really, like how you behave every day, how you interact with other people, how you think about now, the present moment, and how you think about the future. It affects both those things very much, okay? I can't remember because it's 3 in the morning, but I feel like the Leo King, I keep hearing that, the Leo King, the Leo King. So maybe for some of you, this Leo is you. Discussing. It's a heavy discussion, though. Like, neither one of them are upset. It's an adult conversation. I actually want a little bit of advice on that. I want one for the 2 3s. Okay, there's 3. What are they talking about? What is this about? How's that? And how does it connect? This card has come up for like 8 signs thus far. I don't know if you can see this, but there's the new moon and the full moon is important. By the way, for those of you unaware, a full moon is about completions. You want to make an intention of what you want to complete, to rid your life of, okay? That could be like the struggle within your inner child, or just like, I want to quit smoking. Whatever realm that lies within. And then the new moon is about intention. It's action and then action and inaction. So it's important to have a ritual if you believe in that sort of spirituality, Mother Nature, what made us. It's wise to do. Now the 8 of Cups is actually what these 2 people are discussing. Which is about emotional maturity. Really. And he's walking into the future, which is good. Walking towards this King of Wands. Like, in the sense that either this person, because it's red and he's red, I feel like for some reason the fire sign is interesting. Maybe there was just like certain ways that you felt about spirituality that you needed to have a mature conversation with yourself about. You know, these could obviously be archetypes within you. And I see that you choose to look at it more maturely. There's a maturation within your emotions about how you think and how you feel about spirituality during this time. It's fascinating stuff. I haven't had something like this before. Now the Wheel of Fortune came out on the Three of Wands and the Three of Pentacles, so I want to say whatever that situation is, whatever this way that you're looking out into the future, like really trying to find this, like become closer to your intuition, become closer to really working with the group, with others, like teamwork. There's just good fortune. In this being in your love section, it doesn't seem very lovey to me, in a way. But I guess this first three you're alone, and the second three you're with other people. So, you know, because a Leo sometimes just loves being around people, you know. And maybe you've been with the work section being the Hermit and the High Priestess. I would say that you're kind of working a lot, okay, on something. Could be physical, could be internal, what have you. Because what intertwines love and spirituality, I was wondering what connects the two, is this Two of Pentacles. You know, this is just about like trying to control a situation to the way that you want it to go. But you're not paying attention to your emotions in the situation, so you just keep yourself in check with that. Because actually the only cup that came out is this one, and it's the ninth card, which goes back to the Hermit. So there's something internally that you still need to sort out. It doesn't matter if this is in your work section or not, it's all intertwined. There's something that you need to work out within yourself with alone time. And I know to a Leo, that's like, you like your alone time in a way, but you're always doing something. This is about quiet, okay? And because, again, if this being the only cup, it's like there's still something that you're a little bit emotionally attached to that needs to be removed, okay? So that you can have this person that's solo start being around people who really work together with them in a super positive way, okay? With who you're supposed to be working with. I'm so glad like the Tower isn't here, or the Nine of Swords, or any of that stuff. Like, that's good, Leo. That's really good. Maybe you've been figuring some stuff out. No offense. I'm just saying, like, they've been in your readings for some heavier cards have been in your readings. These are more positive. It's great. It's really great. Alright, let's choose a Stitchomancy to close out your reading. We're going to pick from this book, one of my favorite books. It's called The Finite and Infinite Games by James P. Cars. Absolutely love this book. Leo, 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 Leo. Okay, this is what you got. It says, finite sexuality is a form of theater in which the distance between the persons is regularly reduced to zero, but in which neither touches the other. Let me think about that for a second. Let's read that again. Finite sexuality is a form of theater in which the distance between the persons is regularly reduced to zero, but in which neither touches the other. I haven't read this whole book. I can only read pieces at a time because it's like that sentence is like, what? I mean, I get what it's saying, but it's like, it's heavy to discuss, as a light topic, but basically finite games is where one person wins and the other person, one person wins, basically, and the other person does not. An infinite game is where the game continues because the players in the game decide to alter the rules, okay? Because that's what they want, is to continue play. Now, I would say with this finite sexuality, for whatever reason, that's like, it always has to be this one particular way, and it's sort of an act, okay? Instead of like infinite sexuality would be exactly that. Like, there would be no boundaries, but in a really healthy way, because you already expressed your boundaries, because it's an infinite game and the rules are forever changing. And for the rules to forever change, we need to communicate what those rules are, right? Because I can see finite sexuality could represent someone who's been in a relationship for a really long time. And it's theatrical, like, oh, we're going to the movies at 8 p.m. on Sundays. Or the distance between the persons is regularly reduced to 0, but in which neither one touches the other. It's like, yeah, oh, we've already done this, so now it's like particular requirements need to be expressed, I guess. And always remember that, like, although sex is so beautiful, like, sexuality is really beautiful, it's the root chakra, it's important to keep that in balance in a really healthy way. That's when the energy of that, the shadow side of that stays in check, is when we stay more in check with the positive aspects of the root chakra of sexuality, etc. Not being fearful in that, not just, not basing our lives in it, but just accepting the beauty of it. Because you don't have to, finite sexuality is like where you don't, you just make these lines, like, you don't have to. I don't know, that's kind of heavy. Excuse me. Alright, this is interesting, very interesting. I feel like I want one more advice for you for some reason. Okay. I just keep hearing you don't have to put on a particular face for the world, Leo. You don't. I know, like, I've dated so many Leos. Like, they're beautiful people. It's not even about that. It's not about, this is just my personal perspective, but I have a lot of friends too. And I'm a Leo ascendant. So the point is that, like, yes, Leos love to be in the sunshine, right? They love, in a way, to be like the spotlight, but then you also sort of retract a lot. Like, that intensity is balanced out with retraction, okay? But it also sort of pushes you because you're so ruled by the sun and in your face, like, even energetically, subconsciously, you don't have to necessarily be doing that, but people see you as that, okay? But you don't have to constantly be like, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. If you are happy, good for you. Share it. Be with it. Be stable in that. But if you're not, it's okay. Like, express that, okay? It's important. It's really important. That's how you'll be able to figure out whatever emotions are that don't feel good, You'll start being like, oh, well, yeah, actually, yesterday I did have a bad day, and, like, why was it that I had a bad day? I'm going to think about that. Why was I upset about something? And then maybe your dreams will tell you also, and then from there, the sun can expand and expand so that you can become happier and happier. Okay? Excuse me. Trying to quit smoking. It's really hard. It's telling me to stop. Wishing you the best. So sorry. Just got really hot in here. So I'll see you in November. Wishing you the best. Leo. Love you.